Hey, thanks for tuning in for our 2025 year in review. I'm Kevin Doffing, the CEO of Project Vanguard, and we're real excited as our team grows beyond just, this little guy running around the country with an email and a credit card trying to gin up veteran activities at different industry conferences. But now we have a robust community that veterans are plugging into with multiple state chapters, and we're growing the team, we're growing the volunteer leadership across the country. I'll talk a little bit about our stats, but you really got to highlight the community leaders. This is part of our inaugural fellowship. It's a one-year program that we have a great group of veteran leaders from the energy industry coming together and getting after to lead our state chapters, but also lead a lot of our programming, be the voices of the industry. When it came to veterans and energy, a lot of times, unfortunately, I became a more prominent voice. And I'll be honest with you, I really don't like that. I don't like all the attention. I don't like public speaking. I don't like doing social media stuff, but it works, which is why we're doing this right now. But I'm super excited to have other people grow their voices, their personal and professional brands. And that's a big part of what we're going to be trying to do. We tried a lot of different things in the past year. We have only been in operation since the very end of 2024. So we announced right around Veterans Day of 2024, but this was our first full year in 2025. And we really weren't sure what Project Vanguard really needed to be, but we've kind of, found our stride. We know that messaging is a big part of it. That's why we're here. We know that helping veterans get into the workforce and hearing those stories of veterans that are in the industry right now helps folks get into it. Our Slack channel that was started back in January really has grown. It's a great place to connect for job opportunities, community, peer-to-peer networking, find mentors, a lot of really great things. You can just get in and choose your own adventure. And that was started by one of our members. So if you have ideas, feel free to reach out. And over the year, we found that getting vets faster into the industry and bringing them in, helping them find new careers, get in for the first time, then helping them start to show up and speak up for the industry, where that's permit meetings, it's writing op-eds, filing letters of support, it's going to legislative days or legislative roundtables for educating, and just doing office visits to let policymakers and stakeholders just know what is our real experience in the industry as veterans, not some fabricated talking point that the left or the right's trying to do, but really just the real experience of veterans, which typically is more of a right of center message. And I think that we are really the most credible and influential voices for that right of center population that we really need to help educate on what the energy industry really is. And it's all the above. It's energy security and it's veteran jobs. We make up 10% of the energy workforce. And as Project Vanguard's mission, we want to double that. And we got to raise the profile of veterans in this industry already. As we grow, we'll be taking rolling applications into that community leader fellowship. And in a separate video, I'll talk about what our plans are for 2026. But I really just wanted to show what are we looking at doing right now. So as we talk about it, I really want to go through the social media aspect. Again, I'm not really comfortable with it, but it's undeniable on how effective it is. So, a year ago, we were just now getting into our Substack for our newsletter. We hadn't done the podcast. That kind of came out in May. And we were lucky to get a great producer for that. And then we started rolling into the YouTube, the LinkedIn, and everything, with Facebook being the newest thing, because we're doing a lot in rural communities through our Texas tour to get engaged at the grassroots level in these project communities. And Facebook was undeniable, something that we had to get in. So if you haven't joined any of those channels, please do. We've had amazing results. Honestly, a lot of that's been built on just my personal LinkedIn profile and experience. And we're trying to move a lot of that over to the brand. And that way, as we build up these community leaders, we can use that platform to really amplify their voices and build these really strong thought leaders in our space and in our industry. If you look over, you'll see that, some of our top stuff that we had to come out were collaborations. So, working with American Clean Power to produce and do some ads around what these veteran experiences are like that we recorded at Clean Power, Brian Reed there. And then when we had the different podcast episodes, amazing stories. You can find them all on the YouTube or Substack, but like where the companies really got involved in amplifying and resharing that, those are really what helped. And then finding, unfortunately, videos of me doing some things kind of like this that are more off the cuff, just recording where we did something for Veterans Day and putting a little bit of ad dollars behind it. Like apparently $200 in ads goes a long way if it's good stuff. So, we're learning on how we can amplify these voices and finding budget within, the limitations of what we have available to get that really rolling for our members. And so that's what we're going to be doing more of this year and trying to master our distribution. We have a lot of ideas on other content that would be great, but honestly, we have such great content that doesn't get distributed as widely. So until we master that, we don't want to start adding these new content channels. So we're going to be recording about 30 more podcast episodes with our community leaders to really make sure we have a good content library to promote them through a speakers bureau so we can get them placed in different articles, magazines, TV interviews, panels, podcasts, the whole thing. We want to be a platform for amplifying veteran voices in our industry. We did a lot of events. You can see all of them. We had some great partners. We're going to be formalizing some of those partnerships so that we can really continue to amplify those things. And if you go to our Eventbrite page on the event tab on our website, you can see the full slate of conferences that we're going to have members at. I won't be at every one like I was last year, but as we grow our volunteer base, if that's something you're interested in being involved in, we'll have little committees that are really amplifying because this community has just grown beyond a single person, and there's just so much capacity and opportunity with our volunteers, and we want to take advantage of that and really leverage those opportunities for folks. Going back to the Slack channel, when I think of what we do to help veterans get jobs, it's kind of smoothing out a lot of the friction when you're trying to figure out how do you get into an industry if it's not well known to you, you don't have existing connections. We're that point of connectivity. We're that point of shared affinity so that you can get in. And we've been able to get a ton of jobs posted. Now, for the Blue Falcons out there that are getting jobs and not telling me, I need to hear about it because it's hard for me to figure out the best ways to do that. And don't tell me 6 months after you got the job. Please tell me right away. All right? I've been beating that drum, and a lot of you are shy or humble, but you got to do it for your buddy. I need to know when you're getting that job so we can double down on where the system's working. And where it's not, we can cut. Okay? So I need you to come and talk to us. We have some great partnerships with folks like Next Stop for junior enlisted early career stuff. And we're going to have more partnerships coming out in the next couple of months. The Texas tour was something that really came out of our legislative day where we're meeting with a Texas state senator's office. And they were really just pushing us listen, you can talk to us, but you got to get into our counties. You got to go talk to those people. And that's where the industry has been failing and not building out the connectivity among energy workers, landowners, yes, veterans, and business owners. And so we were able to get some great partnerships there with Power Votes, Conservative Texans for Energy Innovation, which I joined the advisory board of this year. And then all these great developers to go out there and really talk to the community and get plugged in so that we can really talk about the real benefits of the industry, help people get into the workforce, help landowners, know more with the Renewable Energy Farmers Association, and just different community partners. So that was a really successful tour. We've had a lot of great content on the YouTube channel. There's a whole playlist for the Texas tour that you can see that. And we're going to be doing this again in Texas and looking to replicate it in other states. So we're super excited about that because when we think about how do we get our message out, the social media is great, but we still got to go into the communities and build up the connections with local advocates. In San Angelo, it's folks like Brad Quigley, one of our community leader fellows, who's out there, running a solar grazing company, but then is getting ingrained with, the San Angelo area after 26 years of Army service. There's just a lot of these things that we have people on the ground. They're the best advocates. It's not me coming from Houston to West Texas. It's somebody who lives and breathes there that can get plugged in the chamber and talk to county commissioners. And that's really what we want to do. We don't want this astroturf. We just want to find the best people from our community and lift them up. Few policy highlights. I talked about the legislative day. I'll be honest with you, I've never done this advocacy stuff, but it's really not that hard. Apparently, it's just showing up and talking to people, and if you have a good message, it's not hard. I was told that it would be really hard to get a bunch of meetings. We did not have a hard time getting elected officials in Texas to talk to us about veteran jobs and energy when we're talking about from an all of the above right of center position. So, yeah. I'm glad that wasn't that hard, but it's a message that resonates. And that's why I think this is so important that we amplify and expand this, because a lot of times that's not the voice that gets heard. That's not the message that's received. And it's something that really works well. I worked in oil and gas. I owned an oil and gas company for 10 years. I have nothing against oil and gas. We're not promoting climate alarmism. We are talking about how do we beat China? How do we diversify? How do we have an all of the above strategy? Why energy security is national security? Why is the energy industry so great for veterans? Why are so many veterans finding their way into it without really established pipelines into it? So as we continue to do that, and showing up and getting the word out through op-eds, podcasts, showing up at permitting meetings, doing letters of support, fly-ins. DC is not my favorite place, but I'll tell you what, it's the same thing like when we were in Texas. People will listen to us, and it makes a lot of sense when you have someone on the ground who's done the work and is explaining something from their perspective, both from the military and an industry, why it matters what we do. So on the fellowship, you're going to be seeing more of those folks. Again, we have 30 folks. I cannot wait to introduce you to them. They're fantastic. A lot of these folks are good friends that I've known for a while, so I'm excited to see their brands amplified. Some of them had done the Veterans Advanced Energy Project with the Atlantic Council. Some are running the Veteran Employee Resource Groups with a lot of the bigger developers in the industry. So these aren't people that are just showing up to kind of get an extra, 1,000 followers, or I'm not really sure what is good for a number of followers. I'm still new to this. But they are just advocates in getting veterans jobs. They're great guys and gals in the industry, and they're people that you want to connect with. So I'm really excited that we'll be showcasing them a lot more. And then we're on the reverse side, we're taking folks from our advisory council, like Jim Adams this month, Ken Young next month, and we're going to be taking these veterans that are executive leaders in the industry and then having closed roundtables with our fellows. So our fellows get to see and talk to and network with these extreme successful veterans in our industry. At the same time, we're amplifying their brand. So if that's something that's interesting to you, reach out. Goals. So, we kind of hit 2 goals and missed 3 others. So this is kind of a ladder of engagement, right? From top of funnel on followers, people that were looking at us, knowing about us. We want that to be there. And we hit that 14,000 goal all the way to the end where we got 30 community leaders to sign up for the program like we wanted, which is great because they're national. They're going to help us run more legislative days in additional states. And again, I'll talk about that in another video. We're still figuring out our conversion rates for who's joining Slack, who's signing up to volunteer. Are we communicating that right? So there's still a lot of bugs in the system to work out. But if we're getting a lot of eyeballs on what we're doing and we're converting them into the most active volunteers we possibly could have, I feel like we've got a good system. We've got a good message. We need to improve the system so we increase the quality and reduce churn and just increase our conversions. So that's what we're looking at. You can see a map of where everybody is. You can see that we're across the country and where those chapters are. What we have currently, 10 in the ground right now and more coming. We're really excited to have more. So if you would like to host an event, you want to attend an event, let us know. It's all about the community engagement. And for next steps, sign up, volunteer, attend an event, follow us online, share the content. If you know somebody that would be great to be featured in some of our stuff, let us know. We do guest blog posts. We do all kinds of stuff that try to amplify more voices. Unfortunately, a lot of the brand has been me, and I'm aware that that's, very tiring for everybody. So we're excited to have more fresh faces, fresh voices from our industry coming out to talk about this. And we're really excited for what 2026 has in store. 2025 was a great year to figure out what worked and what didn't. And we're going to be focusing on what worked and making sure that we keep, refining and revising, right? Revise and refine. That's what we do. Step 7 of leadership. So come join us. The mission's real. We're going to double the number of veterans that are in the industry, and we want you to be a part of that. Thanks.